Hey there. Imagine a world from a very, very long time ago, where the skies weren't crossed by airplanes or filled with the songs of birds we know today. We're talking about the late Triassic period around 230 million years ago, a time when Earth was just beginning to rebuild itself after devastating mass extinctions. It was in this era of reconstruction that the first pterosaurs emerged, creatures that made history as the first vertebrates capable of true flight. In this video, we'll uncover the secrets of pterosaurs, the first masters of the sky, and reveal why they weren't the dinosaurs you always thought they were. Are you ready to discover the shocking truth behind these creatures? So, let's get started. It was in this era of reconstruction millions of years ago that the first pterosaurs emerged, creatures that made history as the first vertebrates capable of true flight. But who were these pioneers of the sky? One of the oldest known species is Pteranodon. This small and agile pterosaur, with a wingspan of approximately 20 inches, 50 centimeters, was more similar to a modern bat than to the massive flying reptiles that would later dominate the skies. It didn't have feathers, and its wings were made of skin membranes supported by a single, incredibly elongated finger. This unique anatomical feature would become the flight secret that defined all pterosaurs to come. The earliest pterosaurs thrived in coastal and lake environments where food was plentiful. The air of that time was thick with humidity, and vast forests of conifers and ferns blanketed the landscape. These creatures relied on their agile flight to snatch insects mid-air or, at times, to fish for small prey on the water's surface. This ability to fly gave pterosaurs a critical advantage over many other terrestrial animals of their era. Interestingly, pterosaurs evolved during a time when Earth was a place of evolutionary experimentation. Not all reptiles took to the skies. Some stayed on the ground, eventually giving rise to the first dinosaurs. But pterosaurs followed a different path, becoming pioneers of something that would forever change the natural world: the conquest of the sky. And don't think this leap was easy. Developing wings capable of sustained flight was one of evolution's greatest challenges, and pterosaurs were the first to conquer it. Though small and limited in range at first, these winged reptiles paved the way to ruling the skies for millions of years. It's fascinating to think that, at that time, there was nothing else like them. They were unique, innovative, and without a doubt, the first true kings of the sky. Now that we've explored the first steps of pterosaurs into the skies during the Triassic, it's time to clear up a common misconception. Pterosaurs were not dinosaurs. Yes, they lived in the same era, shared the same world, and often faced similar challenges. But scientifically speaking, these incredible creatures belong to entirely different branches of the reptile family tree. To understand this, we need to dive into the classification of archosaurs, the major group that includes both pterosaurs and dinosaurs. Picture the archosaurs as a massive evolutionary tree. On one branch, we have crocodiles and their relatives. On the other, we find two separate limbs, one leading to dinosaurs and eventually modern birds, and another giving rise to pterosaurs. Despite sharing a common ancestor, the evolutionary paths of pterosaurs and dinosaurs diverged completely. So what made pterosaurs so unique? For starters, it all comes down to their wings. While terrestrial dinosaurs developed strong bodies and powerful legs, pterosaurs perfected incredibly light and flexible skin membranes supported by a single, extraordinarily long finger. This crucial adaptation doesn't exist in any true dinosaur. Another key difference is posture. Pterosaurs had anatomies designed for walking on all fours, whereas most dinosaurs stood upright on two legs. Their skulls were also markedly different. Most pterosaurs had elongated heads, often adorned with elaborate crests, and jaws filled with sharp teeth perfect for catching fish or filtering food from the water. These features made them flight and hunting specialists, skills dinosaurs never had to master. Here's an interesting fact. The term dinosaur was coined in 1842 by paleontologist Richard Owen, who specifically differentiated true dinosaurs from pterosaurs and other prehistoric reptiles. However, Hollywood and popular imagination often blur these distinctions, leading many to think of pterosaurs as simply flying dinosaurs. Movies like Jurassic Park perpetuated this misconception, but science tells a very different story. So, the next time someone claims pterosaurs are dinosaurs, you'll know the truth. They're relatives, yes, but they belong to an entirely different world. While dinosaurs conquered the land, pterosaurs were crowned as the true rulers of the sky. Are you enjoying learning about these incredible flying reptiles? Don't let this story fly away without you. Subscribe to the channel now and stay updated on everything about the most fascinating creatures of prehistory. There's so much more coming your way, so stay tuned. Now that we've clarified that pterosaurs weren't dinosaurs, let's dive into how these incredible flying creatures have captured human imagination over the centuries. From their earliest scientific discoveries to their portrayals in cinema, pterosaurs have been fascinating yet often misunderstood figures. It all began in the 18th century when pterosaur fossils were first discovered. Imagine the scene. A paleontologist holding a strange winged bone, trying to make sense of what it was. In 1784, Italian naturalist Cosimo Alessandro Collini made the first description of a pterosaur, but he had no idea it was a flying animal. In fact, he thought it was some kind of marine creature. It wasn't until decades later that the renowned paleontologist Georges Cuvier, often called the father of paleontology, identified pterosaurs as flying reptiles, ushering in a new era of scientific discovery. Despite these advances in science, the general public has often had a distorted view of pterosaurs. Hollywood has played a massive role in shaping this perception. Think of movies like Jurassic Park, where pterosaurs are frequently portrayed as flying dinosaurs, slicing through the skies in pursuit of their prey. Who could forget the thrilling scene in Jurassic Park 3 where the protagonists navigate a massive aviary and are attacked by pteranodons? While exciting, this scene perpetuated the myth that pterosaurs were ferocious predators terrorizing anything that moved. But it's not just in movies. Pterosaurs also appear in video games, comics, and even toys, often depicted in ways that are far more dramatic than scientific. For instance, in Ark, Survival Evolved, a survival game, players can tame and ride pterosaurs as if they were flying horses. While entertaining, this portrayal doesn't do justice to the complexity and elegance of these animals. Interestingly, popular culture also tends to exaggerate the sizes of pterosaurs. Many films and shows depict these reptiles as gigantic monsters capable of carrying humans in their claws, but this couldn't be further from reality. Even the largest pterosaurs, like Quetzalcoatlus, were surprisingly lightweight for their size, thanks to their hollow bones and body structures. They were barely able to support their own weight, let alone carry a person. On the other hand, science continues to gift us with more accurate representations of pterosaurs. Museum exhibits, such as those at the American Museum of Natural History in New York, offer a much more realistic view of how these masters of the sky truly lived. When we understand their true nature, they become even more fascinating. Pterosaurs remind us how human imagination and science often intersect. Even with exaggerated portrayals and misconceptions over the years, these creatures still soar high in our hearts and minds, inspiring us to learn more about the incredible prehistoric world. Now that we've seen how pterosaurs entered cultural imagination, it's time to travel back in time and explore what made these incredible creatures so unique: their wings. After all, flight doesn't happen by chance. It's the result of millions of years of adaptation and refinement, and pterosaurs were the first vertebrates in Earth's history to efficiently conquer the skies. But how exactly did their wings work? Unlike birds, which have feathers, or bats, whose wings are made of a thin membrane of skin stretched across several fingers, pterosaurs developed something entirely original. Their wings were supported by a single, incredibly elongated finger, the fourth finger of their hands. Imagine if one of your fingers grew so long it was longer than your entire arm. That's essentially what happened, but on an even more impressive scale. This skin membrane, known as the patagium, wasn't just a simple layer. Modern fossil studies reveal that it was highly vascularized and packed with elastic and muscular fibers. These fibers gave the membrane the perfect balance of strength and flexibility, allowing pterosaurs to adjust the tension of their wings during flight. It was such a sophisticated adaptation that even modern airplanes seem primitive in comparison. Another fascinating aspect is that these wings weren't just for flying. They also played a crucial role in thermoregulation, helping pterosaurs maintain their body temperatures, and even in visual communication. Some species, like Tupandactylus, had enormous crests that might have been used for vibrant, colorful displays. It's possible these crests served as signals to attract mates or intimidate rivals. The evolution of their wings also provides clues about how pterosaurs moved on the ground. Unlike birds, they weren't fully adapted to walk upright. Instead, they used their wings as support, adopting a quadrupedal stance when walking or running. This combination of movement in the air and on land made them incredibly versatile and well-suited to a wide range of habitats. But what drove pterosaurs to develop flight in the first place? Many scientists believe they started as gliders, perhaps leaping from trees to escape predators or reach prey more quickly. Over time, these gliding adaptations refined into controlled flight, enabling pterosaurs to dominate the skies of the Mesozoic era. The most amazing part is that this natural engineering was the first successful experiment in flight among vertebrates. They paved the way for everything that came after, from birds to, believe it or not, humans, who now try to imitate their feats with flying machines of our own. Now that we understand how pterosaurs conquered the skies with their incredible wings, it's time to explore another fascinating characteristic of these flying reptiles: their sizes. And what sizes? From small, agile hunters to true giants of the air, pterosaurs varied so greatly in dimension that they seemed to belong to completely different worlds. On the smaller end of the spectrum, we have Anurognathus, a Jurassic period pterosaur with a wingspan of about 20 inches, 50 centimeters. To put that in perspective, it was roughly the size of a modern pigeon. These small pterosaurs were perfectly adapted for hunting insects in dense forests. With lightweight bodies and short wings, they could maneuver with remarkable agility between trees and branches, catching their prey with near-surgical precision. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we find the absolute giants of the prehistoric skies, the Azhdarchids. And here comes Quetzalcoatlus northropi, which lived during the late Cretaceous period. This true colossus had an estimated wingspan of up to 39 feet, 12 meters, the equivalent of a small single-engine airplane. Despite its impressive size, Quetzalcoatlus was incredibly light, thanks to its hollow bone structure, a feature that allowed it to fly. Its weight likely didn't exceed 440 pounds, 200 kilograms, which is astonishing for something so massive. But how could an animal that enormous manage to fly? Scientists believe these pterosaurs used a takeoff technique known as the quadruple jump. Instead of running to lift off like birds, they used their powerful hind legs and front wings as levers to launch themselves into the air in a single, breathtaking leap. This ability ranks them among the greatest flyers of all time. The sizes of pterosaurs also influenced their diets and lifestyles. While smaller species like Anurognathus specialized in catching insects, giants like Quetzalcoatlus were likely more opportunistic. Some studies suggest that these large pterosaurs might have even walked on land in search of prey, capturing small dinosaurs or scavenging for carrion when necessary. Another fascinating detail is that size differences weren't just between species but also within them. Researchers believe many pterosaurs exhibited sexual dimorphism, meaning males and females differed in size or features. In some species, males were larger and displayed more elaborate crests, likely used to attract mates or intimidate rivals. The varied sizes of pterosaurs highlight how incredibly creative and surprising nature can be. Imagine seeing a massive pterosaur soaring across the sky or a tiny one landing on your shoulder. Which would you find more incredible? Comment below. I'd love to know which of these kings of the sky has been your favorite so far. Let's hear it. Now, let's explore how pterosaurs managed to survive in a world filled with fierce competitors and constant challenges. After all, ruling the skies wasn't enough, they also needed to eat. And when it comes to pterosaurs, their diets were as varied as their shapes and sizes. Their feeding habits depended on their environment, size, and physical structure. The smaller pterosaurs, like Anurognathus, were insect hunting specialists. These tiny creatures would fly through dense forests at dusk, catching mosquitoes and other insects with their sharp teeth. Their short jaws and rounded skulls were perfectly adapted for snapping up prey mid-air, much like a prehistoric bat. Medium-sized pterosaurs, such as Pterodactylus, were more closely tied to water. With long, tooth-filled beaks, they were skilled fishers, dipping their jaws into lakes and rivers to snatch unsuspecting fish. This method of hunting was efficient and likely common in coastal areas where pterosaurs shared the environment with marine reptiles like ichthyosaurs. But the most fascinating diets belonged to the giants like Quetzalcoatlus. Despite its enormous size, these massive pterosaurs are believed to have been opportunistic feeders. Some studies suggest they hunted small dinosaurs and other terrestrial animals, using their long beaks to seize and devour their prey. Others propose they might have been scavengers, feeding on carcasses left behind by larger predators. It's a compelling image, a creature capable of flying for miles landing on a carcass to feed, much like a modern-day vulture. Interestingly, the way pterosaurs ate also influenced their social behavior. It's likely that some species, particularly those that fished, hunted in groups, collaborating to maximize their catch. Imagine a flock of pterodactyls swooping down over a lake, synchronized in their movements to snare fish in unison. The dietary diversity of pterosaurs is a testament to their incredible adaptability. From insect hunters to fishermen and giant opportunists, these winged reptiles ruled both sky and earth with a unique ability to exploit the resources available to them. More than just masters of flight, they were true survivors. For over 150 million years, these incredible creatures remained at the top of the aerial food chain, thriving in a world where the skies were as competitive as the land below. But how did they manage to reign for so long? This is a story of adaptation, resilience, and evolution. It all began in the Triassic period when the first pterosaurs, such as Pteranodon, began experimenting with flight. Though small and limited in range, these pioneers paved the way for a lineage that would continue to evolve for eons. By the Jurassic period, pterosaurs had rapidly diversified, developing a variety of sizes, wing shapes, and lifestyles that allowed them to explore virtually every habitat available. Over the millions of years that followed, pterosaurs became masters of accessing places that other animals simply couldn't reach. They soared over vast oceans, fishing where land-dwelling creatures had no access. They explored deserts and tropical forests, where their wings allowed them to cover great distances in search of food and shelter. This versatility is what truly set them apart from many other animals of their time. Moreover, pterosaur evolution was marked by a series of groundbreaking adaptations. Their wings, already impressively efficient, became even more sophisticated. Their skeletal structures, hollow yet incredibly strong, provided a crucial advantage: lightness combined with durability. This anatomy allowed gigantic pterosaurs, like Quetzalcoatlus, to take to the skies and cross vast expanses where no land predator could ever follow. What's even more fascinating is the incredible longevity of pterosaurs as a group. While many dinosaur species appeared and disappeared over relatively short geological periods, pterosaurs endured, surviving climate shifts, sea level changes, and competition from emerging predators, including birds, which began to appear in the late Jurassic period. The skies of the Mesozoic era were undoubtedly a dangerous and competitive place. Yet, pterosaurs maintained their dominance through a combination of evolutionary innovation and an unmatched ability to exploit the resources of their time. Enjoying the story of these sky masters? If you'd like to see more videos like this one, don't forget to leave a like. It helps us bring even more prehistoric adventures straight to you. Let's keep going. After millions of years ruling the skies, pterosaurs faced something even their incredibly adapted wings couldn't overcome: the mass extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period, around 66 million years ago. This event, which brutally and definitively changed the history of life on Earth, also marked the end of an era for these majestic creatures. It all began with the devastating impact of an asteroid in what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Imagine an object roughly 6 miles, 10 kilometers, in diameter colliding with Earth at an unimaginable speed, releasing energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs. The impact triggered a chain of catastrophic events: shockwaves, global wildfires, massive tsunamis, and a thick dust cloud that blocked sunlight for years. This nuclear winter was lethal for pterosaurs. They relied on delicate ecosystems like coastal areas and tropical forests, which were swiftly destroyed by the asteroid's impact and its aftermath. Many pterosaurs had specialized diets, Fishers like Pteranodon and terrestrial carnivores like Quetzalcoatl struggled as food sources rapidly vanished in a collapsing food chain. Interestingly, it wasn't just environmental conditions that sealed the fate of the pterosaurs. By the time of the asteroid impact, they were already facing stiff competition from another group of emerging flyers. Birds. Direct descendants of small theropod dinosaurs, birds were smaller, more agile, and better equipped to adapt to rapid changes. While pterosaurs vanished, birds survived and became the new rulers of the skies. Thus, the reign of the pterosaurs came to an end. What remains of them are stunning fossils, preserved in stone around the world, serving as silent witnesses to an era that will never return. Today, when we think of pterosaurs, they often appear as stars in sci-fi movies, video games, and even toys. But do these portrayals really do justice to these incredible flying reptiles? Most of the time, the answer is no. But that doesn't diminish the fascination they continue to inspire in us. Movies like Jurassic Park turned pterosaurs into cultural icons, but they often presented them in exaggerated or inaccurate ways. Who could forget the thrilling scene in Jurassic Park 3, where the protagonists face a group of fierce pteranodons inside a massive aviary? While exciting, this sequence perpetuates the false idea that pterosaurs were aggressive hunters capable of carrying humans in their talons. In reality, their lightweight and specialized anatomy made such feats impossible. Pterosaurs are also fan favorites in video games like Ark, Survival Evolved, where they can be tamed and ridden like true flying dragons. While this depiction is fun, it's far from scientifically accurate. Even so, these portrayals help sustain public interest and spark curiosity about these prehistoric creatures. On the flip side, museums and scientific exhibitions have done an incredible job of correcting these misconceptions, presenting pterosaurs as they truly were: ingenious masters of flight with impressive adaptations and fascinating evolutionary stories. Life-sized models and digital simulations offer a realistic glimpse into their lives, allowing audiences to appreciate the true complexity of these animals. Beyond this, pterosaurs continue to inspire science fiction and fantasy. From flying dragons to alien creatures, many fantastical beings draw their roots from the form and grace of these winged reptiles. It's as if they've left an indelible mark on our collective imagination, challenging us to dream of the impossible. In the end, pterosaurs are more than just a chapter in Earth's history. They're a reminder of how evolution can create things so magnificent and innovative that they continue to inspire us millions of years after their extinction. So, what did you think of this journey through the skies of the Mesozoic era? If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now's the perfect time. Leave a like, too, and comment on which other prehistoric animal you'd like to see in the next video. Thanks for sticking with us until the end. See you next time.